What happens?
If I turn this way and my mic's that way, it's going to sound like
Okay.
and I don't want it to sound like crap.
Not listening. Not listening.
Welcome back, Couch Potatoes, to the first video of 2025.
Happy New Year.
You're not allowed to talk.
What?
Phasing this guy out. We're going to have a new co-host come the new year.
Hi, everybody. Harry Carey here. I have a couple of friends that call me Whisker.
Well, welcome back, Couch Potatoes, to the next episode of Rotten Potatoes.
Our first episode of 2025.
You're enjoying. Okay, you okay?
Yes, and it is, we're going to wrap up 2024 and put a nice little, neat little bow on it.
Gay!
Well, let me ask you this. As years go, what do you think of 2024?
As years go, last year was a disappointing year. In some sense, there was a lot of like big time movies. I thought this year lacked like that one just humdinger.
Barbie.
Barbie, yes, for him. Barbie for me, like Oppenheimer, Killers of Flower Moon. It lacked that movie, but I thought there was a lot of really good horror movies this year and a lot of solid. It was the year of horror sequels and remakes.
I thought there were some surprising movies, and that word surprising is important to me. I want to be surprised when I go to a movie. I don't want to see the same thing I've seen, you know, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4, same movie. It's like, so there was some things that was like, wow, that's different. Never seen anything like that before.
Yeah. And you know, we tried to get Billy Crystal for today, but no dice.
That is a noble cause. Give me the 65. I'm on the job.
Or Bob Hope, which, okay, people are Googling right now. Bob
Yeah, I
Hope.
hope you didn't have to Google that.
He has a class. He used to host the Oscars all the time, and he would say, because he never got nominated. Bob Hope never was nominated for an Oscar, and so his said family is they always called Oscar Passover.
Passover?
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh,
But this
no.
is not Oscar. This is not our
No.
Oscar episode.
These are not the greatest films necessarily.
No, because I think there's a disconnect between what fans, the standard average moviegoer, and the Oscars. I think there's a little bit of disconnect. Because I think if you ask the average human being what they think of the Oscar picks, and they're probably going to do one of these things.
Yeah.
I mean, you may be a little bit different, but
Yeah.
I think there's a disconnect. So I think this is our Oscars. So these are going to be for more, you know, everyday people.
Well, I'm Dr. Paul,
I'm Diet Dr. Paul.
and I apologize. I'm a little under the weather. Have not been sick since 2019.
I've been sick with it since 1986.
So yes, I have. I've got some kind of a head cold or some
What's
kind
wrong
of
with your
deal.
face?
Oh, I'm blind. I'm blind.
We're Rotten Potatoes, father, son,
Boomer, millennial.
till I can get a blood test. Yeah, talking about movies, pop culture, models, sci-fi, horror, real movies, movies with subtitles in black and white. Your favorites.
All right.
It might happen. Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
You want to start us off?
Yes, I would like to start us off. So this is going to be part two. There's going to be two parts to this because it's 14 separate picks.
Are we going to start with part 1 or part 2?
We're going to start with part 1.
Okay, that's a pretty good way to start.
So the first one is more, I think, standard fare, and then the second part 2 is going to have a little bit more our own categories and things that I wanted to add in there.
So you came up with 14 different topics to summarize the state of film for 2014.
So yeah, we're going to select our picks. There's no reusing picks, so we're not going to have Oppenheimer with everything, or if you're me last year, it's just Saltburn. The whole thing was just Saltburn.
Or for me, it would be Conclave.
I
this year.
had a feeling that I, was doing my list. I'm thinking, you're either going to be really all about Conclave. I remember you mentioned Juror number 2, but neither of those movies that I've seen yet, so I couldn't put my 2 cents in on them.
Well, if David Fincher would have directed Conclave, you
I've
probably
seen it 7 times.
right.
Little did you know. All right, so let's start off. Let me excuse me while I whip this out. All right. Best for number 14, we're number 7 for category of best trailer. not going to do that every time. This is a movie you probably never heard of, and that's why it has the best trailer. Because this is a movie that I had no desire to see, and the trailer made me want to see it. And it is called The Line. Obviously, that and the A24 tag on it. Have you even heard of this film?
I've never gone to A24's website, and I have a feeling that
I don't go to A24's website.
every movie that you seek out is A24.
They're everywhere. I don't go, there's no website that I go to where it's like, just let A24. I go to a list of releases for each week. It's on Wednesdays and Fridays.
Take your shirt off right now, because I will bet my right testicle you've got an A24 tattoo on your body somewhere.
Undershirt.
Huh?
I got a gray undershirt on, and I don't have any tattoos. Thank you very much.
But if you did, would it be A24?
No. Got to be a horror tattoo.
Okay. No, I've never heard of The Line.
It's got, the only recognizable actors in it that I knew were Alex Wolff of Hereditary and John Malkovich. I think Malkovich is probably in one scene in the movie, though. But it's about this really seemingly kind of stupid Southern boy who goes to college and gets wrapped up in fraternity politics and basically ends up having to choose between the fraternity life and this girl that he meets, playing on the ideas of like Southern fraternities and racism. But the trailer just does a really good job, I think, of summarizing the intro to the movie without giving too much of it away. But it made me want to see this movie. I didn't like the movie, but the trailer made me really want to see it. So when I went back to think about like trailers and what's the idea, what's the object of a trailer, it's to make you want to see a movie. And it made me want to see a movie that I had no liking to whatsoever. It was either that or I almost considered 28 years later for mine, but it was too recent, and I didn't want to.
And that is a good trailer.
It was a good trailer.
Yes, I would refer you back to, we did a couple episodes recently on where we watch trailers and just react to them. I'd never seen 28 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And I would normally have said, nah, I'm not a big sequel, less sequel.
Right.
And once I saw it, it's like, this is really fascinating.
It did the same thing to me with The Line when I was doing the what to watch for it, and there was probably 3 or 4 other big movies that I could have picked, but I picked that movie because the trailer just well done.
My choice, now that we think about it, probably should have been 28 years later, but it doesn't. My choice was.
I set you up to knock it
You
down.
did. You just you teed it up. No, my and we've got obviously our like runners up kind of stuff, but the one in the end that I sort of picked and stuck with was Civil War. There was a lot of buzz around this movie, and the movie is rather terrifying. I don't think it's considered a horror film, but it's sort of done in a photojournalist kind of style, following these journalists. And it really was, in the current political climate that we have gone through in the last couple of years, and how divisive our country is, that movie really just zeroed right in on those. And so it made me think, yeah, this makes me want to see it. In the same way, I think I liked the trailer better than I liked the movie. I think in the end, I think the movie was a little cowardice, because it really doesn't explain exactly why is going on, and I think that was cowardly on the
played
part.
the fence, and that was the one moment that it needed to not pick up.
Yeah.
It needed to pick a side in that moment. Everything else was fine.
What it is. Doesn't mean you're picking a side. It just means you're explaining this is what
That's
it
what I'm
is.
saying. It took no stock in a situation.
Yeah.
It didn't really put itself out there bravely.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
But didn't give away too much information. I think we've talked about doing an episode on trailers and what makes a good trailer, and it doesn't show you too much. It gives you just a glimpse into some of the characters. I think sometimes trailers are cut too fast. They're cut more like movie videos, and it's the sensory overload, and or it's the exact opposite. Things are so slow in the trailer. It's like the very first trailer that we saw for Nosferatu kind of thing was really slow burn, and the movie's kind of a slow burn, and that worked really well for it. Civil War could have been action adventure, but it wasn't. It was really kind of a perfect trailer, I thought.
I really like that trailer as well. I think trailer is something that has a little recency bias to it. So that was earlier this year, back in April. But I thought the same exact thing. It made you want to see a movie, and it addressed it up a little bit too, and it made it better than it was. So
yeah,
successful.
But that reminds me, I need to go back and rewatch Civil War now.
And you asked why do I like A24, and that's the ticket right there. Is that they take these real otherworldly, non-horror situations and put them under the microscope in the same way that a horror movie does. And I think that that's attractive to me. Maybe that's why I like them so much, because that's an A24 film as well. Bam. All right, for the next category.
Keep score at home.
Oh, my bad. Best score. See what I did there with sound? It was really. All right, for best.
I thought you were having an embolism.
Having a moment. No. For best score / soundtrack, if you wanted to get freaky with it and go rock star. And I was surprised by this one, but I had one movie that immediately came to mind. And it wasn't just because I wanted this movie on this list, and that's Horizon and American Saga Part 1. Composed by John Debney, who Greatest Showman, Passion of the Christ, Iron Man 2, not necessarily, obviously Greatest Showman is a musical, but not necessarily films that you think of for their musical qualities. But there was just something about this. It's got the Dances with Wolves kind of, the acoustic guitar and the slide guitar and the fiddle, and I just dig all that in a big way. And it really was, I considered maybe I saw the TV Glow because that was sort of avant-garde and a little different, but it was too rock and roll for me. Can't believe those words just came out of my mouth. But in the end, it ended up Horizon and American Saga.
That was my number 2.
Really?
It really was. Yes. I mean, I can show you right there. It is the classic film score, style back in the 50s and the 60s, which when you had, movie screens that were size of a city block, and it's epic in the music, and he kind of did that. Yeah, and it does, the fact, obviously, you have Costner, and so it does play to the Dances with Wolves kind of thing. But no, I like that. My choice was, and it was really where to put it, because I think I could have put this as it could have won every single one of our 14 categories except for worst film, and that is the score from Conclave, Volker Bertelmann. It is a perfect match of the music to of course it's about the Catholic Church and the election of a pope. So you're going to get this music that is almost church-like, it's
very
almost like a Latin
monastery.
Yes.
But I can dig that
stuff.
too, though.
Yeah, it just was. The guy won an Oscar for All's Quiet on the Western Front from last year, and I did not see that yet.
I didn't see that. I thought that was a miniseries, or was it a movie?
It was a movie.
It's a Netflix movie. That's why I don't have Netflix.
Yeah, I love that film. That's really my choice, I think, this year for Best Picture.
Really?
Yeah.
It's on Peacock. I just haven't watched it. So you're saying I should watch that film?
Oh, you should.
Because I'm a big fan of Ralph Fiennes. Lithgow's in that too.
Yes, he is. And
Lithgow's
Stanley
mom.
Tucci. Those three are going to have, they'll be battling it out, whether they're going to be like, Ralph Fiennes for Best Actor, maybe the other two for Supporting Actor, because it really is amazing.
You got one of the best actors of all time, and then two of the best character actors of all time.
Yeah.
That's
Great script. I mean, it really is.
Is Jeffrey Wright in that too?
No.
No? I don't know why I picture him in there too.
No.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Oh, well.
That sounds like a good one, though. But I have not seen it. Shame on me.
Yes.
I can't watch everything, y'all. Can't do it. All right, but I did see this next one, and this one's good. We went with sound. Let's go to sight. Visuals.
Okay.
Best cinematography. I didn't want to do it, but I freaking had to. I'm sorry. I wanted to hate this movie. I didn't like it the first time I saw it. I don't know why I bought it, but I bought it and I watched it until I freaking liked it, and now I freaking love it, and I hate you for it. And that's Dune Part 2 and Greg Fraser. Dune Part 1, Rogue One, Zero Dark 30, just all beautiful films from a cinematography standpoint. And this is just, for everything that I enjoyed about the visuals of the first film, the second film delivers with aplomb, and it like elevates everything. You get to go see the Harkonnen home world, and those scenes are just, there's just something different about it. It seems realistic, it's breathtaking, it's futuristic. I don't know, there wasn't anything that competed with it for me. I had no honorable mention when it came to this. But that's best cinematography, Dune Part 2.
Yeah. I my cinematography was, and I had thought on this even while you were giving your answer. I'm still looking
I've
at
done that before.
yeah. And in the end, I'm going with Karen Blaschik is for Nosferatu. The visuals in Nosferatu is the story.
Mhm.
It is the framing, how the camera frames different things, how they use doorways, light is that's like they should give an award, best performance by and it being the light in this film. It really is. It's a little dark at times, but it really does evoke a feel, this sense of forebode that's in it that is really just amazing. And she did, I'm assuming Karen, she did Lighthouse, she did Northman, kind of thing. So
she probably gonna do everything with him.
She's got it, yeah. But it is. I tried to think about where would I put Nosferatu, because it is scary, and the music, was good. In the end, I think it was the visuals was the one thing I couldn't complain about.
Yeah, I guess if there was another one that I would have ever considered, it probably would have been Nosferatu.
Yeah.
But I knew where I was putting that one immediately when this list came up. That was like, I had a couple of pins to pull, and as soon as I knew where I was putting that one, then a bunch of other ones would fall to place. So I did that one early.
Yeah.
But that film reminds me a lot. I talk about The Revenant quite a bit. They did all natural lighting in there. They shot that in Alaska with no lighting. It's all natural light. Think about that. And this one does the same thing. The first scene in Romania when they go into the little tavern and it's just like candlelight, that's realism. People don't understand. Yes, the 90s version of realism is quite different than actual realism.
It did not look like it was a set design.
No, it looked like that's where
National
that
Geographic
took place. Yeah. Absolutely. So I totally agree with that.
But that said, Dune 2 was really just, Dune, both of the films, they are epic.
I think I maybe in my head, I attributed some of the visual aspect of Nosferatu to like set design and lighting as well, and not just cinematography, and maybe more cinematography for Dune because it's less about set design.
Yeah. Oh, good.
All right. So, moving onward and upward. I'm just going to put my thing in the right spot so I don't have to keep doing this. All right. Best documentary. Get your tissues out, ladies and gentlemen, because we got a daily double. Superman, the Christopher Reeve story by Ian Bote and Peter Etigtegui.
You're saying that's my choice.
I know that's your choice.
So you never saw Beetle 64?
I did see Beetle 64.
You never saw Selling Superman? You never saw Return of the King about Elvis?
I don't need to see them.
Why?
Because that was the best documentary.
It was.
No, dude, try to do that.
Pardon me while I get something out here.
What's sad is that I wanted to use Beatles 64 for best soundtrack, but I thought that's such a stupid thing because, of course, it's Beatles songs.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't.
Yeah, Superman, it really is. It was as much about his life as it was the character, what Superman means to us as far as a culture, our world.
It's going to win Best Oscar for it, I have a feeling. I think it's the kind of like, it's sort of a package is like a career award for him too.
Yes.
So he's going to win it. It's
Robin Williams.
I'm okay with it happening like this. And normally I don't like it when they do underhanded things because maybe you're stealing this from someone that deserves it as well. But I think in this, it's very deserved. And it was such a tearjerker and such an awesome experience. And it was one of my highlights from this year, even though it was a very dramatic film.
Yeah.
So I remember when we went to the Far Theater to go see that bad boy. Oy.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was worth it. Have you seen it since?
No. Have you?
No.
Okay. Superman.
Super/Man.
Right.
Story, Christopher Reeve story. 98% on Rotten Tomatoes.
And to see scenes from 1978's the greatest comic book movie ever made. Drop the
You're
mic
not the only
on
one that
that.
says that. I don't say that, but
Well, because your taste is in your mouth.
Yeah, other people say that aren't me. But I digest.
More erudite.
Yes. Moving on.
Yes.
To number. I've lost count. That's where on number 3. for this episode. Best foreign film. Now, this was a very hotly contested category for myself personally. I don't know about you, but I wanted to highlight some other films that I did not say. There was one of the first films I saw this year, Animal Kingdom, superheroes in foreign film, really good. All the other honorable mention, Infested, that was a killer flick. Kill from Bollywood was really good, but in the end I went with Eczema, which is a film
About skin conduction.
No. It reminds me a lot of like Parasite in its sort of like horror thriller, but still like dark comedy aspects and slants to it. But it's about this shaman that goes in and he's looking for a cause to this disease that turns out to be supernatural or originating from this grave. And it sort of unfolds from there. I don't want to give anything away. It's got like, I didn't look to see if it was from Korea or Japan, but it's got a J-horror slant to it. The lead is Choi Min-sik from Old Boy, the lead from Old Boy. And he kills it in this. He's better than Old Boy in this. This is better than Old Boy. I'm telling you right now. It was really, if you hadn't seen it, you got to see it.
Haven't seen it.
It's delicious.
Haven't heard of it.
It's right up your alley, sir.
I could use some eczema.
If you've not seen it, go see it. It's as much as I liked Animal Kingdom, much as I like Infested. I think we gave Infested almost a 9 out of 10. This is better.
Okay.
This is 10 times better.
All right. Well, my choice is Coffee Table. Now, even though it came out in 2022, it didn't appear in the U.S. video on demand until 2024.
That's when it's released in our country. That's fine.
Yes.
Because I have a film that's on my list that was released and then came for re-releases.
Yeah.
But that's not until the next episode.
I think this was a weak year for foreign films, not necessarily horror films. But I think
Foreign
just
horror was a great year.
in general,
2 or 3.
I think it was a much weaker year for that. A lot of times when Oscars come around, I've seen most of the best foreign film nominees. I'm going to be real surprised when they come out if I've seen any of them at this point. But Coffee Table, if you haven't seen it, it is when I say dark comedy, you will laugh in this thing, and then you're going to feel guilty with yourself of why you would laugh, because it is completely sick. It's unlike anything. The less that you know about this going into that, the better it is. But it's about foreboding and just this sense of dread. It's not a particularly gory film, but
it's got its moments.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of that.
It's got sort of like the implication, I think.
Yeah, it is, but just a very, very simple. I love movies that take place. I'm a big fan of movies that's all in one room, or it's all on a boat, or that kind of. And it's kind of that. There is some other set location stuff that's for the Coffee Table, but for the most part, it takes place inside the apartment of this couple, and it is. We did a whole review on it, and I said that it was in Italian and was totally embarrassed.
Spanish,
Yes, so.
Every time you talk about that movie, you mention that.
I know.
You keep dragging yourself.
I don't mind. I fall on my sword. I mean, I make mistakes. That was it. That was my mistake for 2024.
It was a good movie, though. It reminds me. I think I said this when we did a review. It's like The Telltale Heart. It's all about the impending, like what's going to happen, and it builds and it slowly builds and builds until it's like you can't take it anymore. It's a really good movie.
Yeah. Once the event in this movie that everything hinges on it, once that happens, then you're just going to sit there with your chin like, okay, what am I watching? What is going on here? And as it just keeps going more and more, they always say, oh, what a web we weave when we tell a lie. That's kind of what it is one event in this film. Then it builds and builds and builds to the point it's like, what? How are they what's going to happen here? What's the end of this thing?
And it's less a lie to me and more just like lack of action.
Yeah.
Like just not doing anything.
Yes. Oh, watch it.
Eczema is better than The Coffee Table. Just saying. And you've not seen it yet because you're the worst. Speaking of the worst, number 2. The worst movie of 2020.
Is Isn't anybody gonna help that poor man?
All right, the worst of 2024. Zack Snyder, it's all for you, boo. Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, is not only the worst film of 2024, it has containing within itself the worst scene in cinematic history. Roll the tape.
Something's wrong.
Just kidding, not going to do that to you. It's just bad. And the sad part is there's good names attached to it. There's Digimon Hunsu, the actor, is in it. Love that guy. What are you doing, boss? Charlie Hunnam. Love that guy. What are you doing? Maybe that's the only people in there that I do like, though. But it's just a head scratcher. There's no decisions that were made in this film were ever made putting the film first. It was all based, let's make it look pretty. Let's put actors that are famous in places so we can sell some tickets. And we'll slap it on Netflix and see what happens. As bad as the state of things are in Star Wars, it will tell you a lot about the quality of this project to find out that a girl boss feature was turned down to be a part of the Star Wars universe. So this was looked at as so bad, they didn't want to even incorporate it into Star Wars. It's just unwatchable. I had to watch it over like 6 days, 20-minute little like increments, because I wanted to watch it, because I wanted to be able to say that I did, because I heard how bad it was, and I wanted to give it its justice, and gosh, it was bad. I can usually find some redeeming qualities.
Worse than Borderlands?
Oh, yes.
Worse than Madam Web?
I've watched Borderlands more than one time.
Worse than Barbie?
I've not seen all of Madam Web. Worse than Barbie, yes. It's just bad. It's just bad. It's like cringy bad.
And what's the name? Call it again?
Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver.
Did you see Part 1?
No.
Yeah.
You don't need to. You can guess what happens. I mean, it's very just like cut and dry and cut and dry. It's like, you know what's happening. And it's not even nice to look at. It's just overtly bright. It's like they took Jupiter Ascending, put it into Blender, and somehow got something worse.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will take your word on it.
Yeah, don't see it. I wouldn't tell anybody to watch this at all.
All right. Worst movie, and there was a lot to choose from this year.
Oh, there were.
And in the end, what I did, and I feel bad doing it, but it's Watchers. Shyamalan's daughter, Dakota Fanning is just one of the greatest young actresses that's working in films today. It's got a great trailer, but it's a poor film. Again, it was a struggle to pick, Borderlands, Madam Web kind of stuff. But in the end, it was all dressed up and no place to go. There's no payoff to it. I really, really wanted, and Trap, her father's, I've seen it on people's best top 10 lists.
I've seen it since. I like that movie quite a bit.
Yeah, I think I need to see it again because I was a little unenthusiastic.
It's got some nuances to it that I think if you rewatch it, you'd like it.
Yeah, but this one, the Watchers just did not. It was.
I gave it another chance too. I watched it when it came out on streaming, and again, it's like the setup is really interesting. In the first 35 minutes of the movie, I'm like, ooh,
yeah,
and then it's like you get the car wash, you put your suit on, you go pick the girl up, and you got catfish, bro. And you don't, what do you do now?
I have no idea what you just said, but it's probably.
You asked the girl out, you got all ready, and she ain't that pretty.
I don't need an explanation, so it's a millennial thing. Miss Shyamalan, I'm looking forward to your next.
Yes. Do try something less.
Yeah, you've got there is the seeds of a great filmmaker in there.
Absolutely. I think that was a very tough concept to handle, and just too much to deal with for a first film. And I would go smaller.
And everybody's going to be seeing it through the lens of her father.
Yes, you have the hardest part is that you have the last name Shyamalan, and that's never going to change.
If it was Jane Doe, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
You know what? But you can always look to your heart and know that your dad never put you in Godfather 3.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Got him. All right. Let's round out episode 1 or part 1 with the best movie of 2024. There's only one movie for me, and it's the movie that came to my lips the most this year when I talked about things that excited me, or movies that hit out of the park, or that I just remember from post to pillar just enjoying the film as much as possible. And it was a movie that we almost didn't watch. Strange Darling by J.T. Molnar. Willa Fitzgerald, Kyle Gallner, Ed Begley Jr., Barbara Hershey, 95%, 85% of Rotten Tomatoes. Those are too low. 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb. What were y'all smoking? This movie is the Bee's knees. If here's the bee, here's his leg, the knees right here. That's Strange Darling. I'm not going to tell you anything about the movie because you don't need to know anything about the movie. Go watch it. It's great.
I always think more higher art kind of stuff. I totally enjoyed. There are movies that I enjoyed just as much as my pick, but when I think about, it's like, is this representative of the art that's the standard? And for me, it was My Old Ass. It is. Why are you smiling?
I'm just happy that you picked that movie.
Why?
Because it's a movie that you picked for your most excited films. You picked it to watch from like another list, and now here you are at the end of the year. It's just like it's a year coming to the.
This was a year of the women, women filmmakers, and this is, if you didn't see it, it's the setup is kind of simple. It's a young adult, getting ready to leave the nest, gets a chance to meet herself when she's like 40.
Mm-hmm.
Through a drug mushroom kind of thing. And so think about it. If you could go back and talk to yourself when you were young and say, don't do this,
Mm-hmm.
be careful of this kind of stuff. Or as a younger person, you could look ahead and saying, man, you got fat, like what's going on, that kind of, it's just really, it is a tearjerker, it's funny, it's terrific performances, it's poignant.
Was it I didn't see it. Was it predictable?
Not at all.
Because here's what I would have gone into it. I would have said that she's going to come to find out that her mistakes are actually the things that she wanted it. Like, she wouldn't undo those mistakes in her life, even though she tells her young self to avoid this guy or avoid that guy. But those are the mistakes that she's like, no, I wouldn't change those.
Well, that's essentially the heart of the film, because the old self says to her, whatever you do, stay away from
that's
John Doe.
That's curious.
And
I like that.
She doesn't even know who John Doe is at this point, the
Now
young
she
person.
does.
And then when she finally does see him,
She's like,
what's
he's
wrong
cute.
with John?
He's cute.
Is he a serial killer? Is he this? Because the older self will not tell her why to stay away.
But in the end, is this I'm not going to get into time.
Heather and I debated it while the movie's going on. Do you think that why doesn't she want? Because the guy's kind of pleasant and kind of charming kind of stuff.
Is her telling the younger girl not to go after him what set that off in the first place? So she always meant to go back in time and talk to herself and set her on this path, which is why she did it in the first place, because that's how reality is supposed to accept it.
This is not a time travel paradox.
Well, that's what I just said.
No.
And you opened the door when you said me and Heather talked about it. So now answer the damn question.
No, that's not. But it's you should see it. It is a great dialogue in this thing.
It does have really good reviews.
I kind of think there's a certain amount of regret when we look back at our childhood. When I left, I grew up in Columbus, Ohio. Can we talk? Grew up in Columbus, Ohio, and then when I left I could have gone to the Ohio State University in my backyard, for crying out loud, but I didn't want to do that, so I went to, got to Chicago instead, got far away. But there's something about when you leave your hometown. My hometown still exists in my head.
Yep.
But years later, when I go back to Columbus,
It's not the same.
it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's still good, but it's not Columbus, Ohio from the 70s kind of
You
thing.
said the
that I
same thing
remember.
to me. When you leave for college, you're going to come back. It's not going to be the same.
Yeah, and that's made point of this in terms of who we are and what we take from our families and how the relationship we have with our parents is different than the relationship we have as we're older than it is when we're younger. It's a rich film. You got to see it. It's
Aubrey
good.
Plaza, I like her.
Yeah, the person who directed this is Megan Parks. I went back looking her filmography. She's done 6. She's an actress too. She's done 6 Christmas movies. Right? Now, when you think a lot of times of Christmas, these are not like Krampus Christmas movies.
They're like Hallmark movies.
Warm, fuzzy kind of stuff. So that's clearly sort of a part of her heart.
She likes that. Sort
There's
of
there's a warm, fuzzy part. Again, I was crying like Mr. Holland's Opus in
I'm
this
sure
thing.
you were.
Yeah.
I mean, I curveball. I wouldn't have expected that. I thought that it had 30% shot at Strange Darling, and then I won't say any of the others because I don't want to spoil anything.
All right.
Any honorable mentions to those categories that you've discussed? Or...
Well, on most entertaining kind of thing, I also had Bike Riders was on there. I thought that was a really good film. And then Rebel Ridge, which is, I don't know if you saw that at all. It was on Netflix. You probably didn't see it. It's
That's the
a
one thing I don't
great
have.
action film.
Except for Rebel Moon's on Netflix.
Yeah, I didn't.
I watched that when we were
see
in
that.
Louisville.
So, yeah. I guess trailer wise, I thought Strange Darling was a good trailer because it sets you up for what you think it is,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not.
Curveball.
Yeah.
Even the names of the characters, man, they get you.
Yeah.
But I saw recently. I saw Blink twice with Channing Tatum. Totally good movie. Very, very.
I tried to
very,
find it
very
the other
good
day.
movie.
I tried to find it.
Yes, they have a disclaimer in the front of that because for the theme. I mean, it's about. I don't want to even get into, but there's a disclaimer in the front of it, so it may not be for everybody. If you see that disclaimer and you're saying, "No, this is not for me," I get it.
It was free for a while. It's not now.
But
so.
it was very, very, very good movie. And I don't know why that's just the one that sticks out to me.
Yeah. All right. Well, looking forward to 2025. We're probably going to do an episode of like our most anticipated films for 2025. Superman.
Wolfman. Superman does look pretty good.
Yeah.
That was almost on my trailers too, but I would have gotten hung for doing that.
Yeah. So.
But staying around for part D.
Yes. Happy New Year. I hope my prayers is 2025 is full of blessings and love and warmth and positive, fuzzy, warm fuzzies for y'all. Prosperity, all those good things.
Mm-hmm.
Stick around.
We'll see you at the movie.
Kill